can mark the angles. I can mark these vertical angles, right? And those vertical angles give me an angle in that small triangle. And they give me an angle in this bigger triangle. All right. So let's come over here and see what we can mark in C. What can I mark in C? All I know is that's a triangle. The reflexive side? Yeah, where they come together, that's definitely a reflexive side. Can I mark anything else? Which angles? Right here? Those angles? It is super tempting to do that. And I personally think that you have plenty of information to do that, but other geometry teachers think you don't because we haven't taught it to you yet. So because these angles are the same and because this is a reflexive side, you do actually know that these are right angles. So I am 100% okay if you mark those. The SOL is not, however. So if you marked that, then we could go, I've got an angle here, and I've got an angle on the other side, and I've got a side here, and I've got a side on the other side, and I've got an angle here, and I've got an angle on the other side. So if you marked C and you had angle, side, angle, I'm 100% okay with it. If you didn't have angle, side, angle, then you can't mark C. Does that make sense? Because of this right angle down here. Okay. So some teachers would tell you can't do that. I'm telling you can. If you go to B, quadrilateral ABCD, can I mark anything there? We can definitely do the reflexive side. I'm so glad you said that first. If this said parallelogram, right? If it said parallelogram instead of quadrilateral, we could do the Z's and we could mark some angles. But sadly, it says quadrilateral, not parallelogram, so I can't mark those angles, which makes me a little mad. Does it make anybody else a little bit mad? So all I have here is an angle and an angle on the other side, and I've got a side and a side on the other side. Is angle side enough to do anything with? No, it's not. And then collinear, I kind of already told you as you were doing it, collinear just means all those things are on a straight line. That doesn't give us enough to do anything with either. So the best answer is going to be this angle up here. But an okay answer would be this one. So I'll take A or C for the correct, for the win, but A is definitely the best of the right answers. Kind of makes people mad when I say that too sometimes. Does that bother anybody? The best strong answer? Okay, let's go look at number 2. This is where I think probably if we didn't watch the videos or we got stressed out because of the videos yesterday, this is going to be a problem. But I think it's pretty easy to solve. So almost everybody that I saw did this. This is the O, this is the A, this is the H. I don't use the H, boom. Some people even went a step further and wrote so, ka, and toa, which I thought was fantastic. Almost everybody, even if they didn't write so and ka, chose toa. Lots of people started writing it tangent, and then I saw this. What's wrong with that? What do I need to change? What did I do wrong?
It's supposed to be tangent and then an X instead.
It is. So in fact, instead of writing it down here, let me just erase it. So what always goes next to the tangent, sine, or cosine? The angle. So the angle always goes next to that sine, cosine, or tangent. And then we make our fraction O over A. So 8 over 7.8. The problem is I can't put this equation into my calculator, so I have to do some maneuvering around. Because I'm looking for that angle, what I'm going to replace it with is a -1. So I'm going to do tangent -1, reread that inverse tangent, and then I'm going to bring, it's almost like I'm going to switch these two things, kind of like we switched the numerator and then, or the denominator and the function earlier. So we're going to do this equals x, and that's the angle. So anytime you're looking for an angle, you need to replace it with that little -1. Anytime you're looking for an angle, you replace it with that -1. That's called inverse. So then we come over here to our Desmo. We've got to make sure it's in what mode? Degree mode. So we're going to make sure it's in degree mode. We can go to our little keypad and go to functions. Remember, in geometry, we live in these 6 functions right here. We don't worry about any of the other 12. We don't need those until we get to Algebra 2 trig. So we're going to click on tangent -1, inverse tangent, and then just do 8 divided by 7.8. As long as I'm in degree mode under that wrench, that's going to be my answer, 45.7. Okay. The trick here, because everybody's got the O and the A, almost everybody knows that that means tangent. The tricky part here is knowing that you're looking for an angle, so you've got to put in that -1. Your fraction is still the same, O over A. Does that help a little bit? Kind of, sort of, maybe? What's my very first step in number 3? What do I have to do first every time? In chorus. I love it. You know what that means to me? That means you're building confidence. People are confident about this problem. So we find the missing angle. We find it that it's 62 because we do 180 minus 54 minus 64. And then what? Yeah, I like that description. You've got to match it. What do you have to match? Mm-hmm. Excellent. And then what does that tell me about the sides? Absolutely. So we're looking for longest first. What's my longest street? Rector Street. How did you know that? Absolutely. 64 is the biggest angle, so Rector Street is the longest street. So Rector Street has to come in the middle, so I know it's not A and D, and a lot of people did that. I was so happy to see it. What comes next? Pine Street. Pine Street, I sometimes call it the mediumest angle. I like inventing new words. So Pine Street is the mediumest angle, and then that leaves the 54, which is Taylor Street. And Taylor Street is going to be the shortest street. Okay. Hopefully these are easy questions. If you were going through, this would be one that you would do right off the bat. How about slide number 4? What do I do with Ben and Noah and the dock? If I give you 2 sides, what do you do to find the range of the third? It's like right there on the tip of your tongue. I can see it through the Zoom. Do you add them? What you want to do is you want to subtract them and you want to add them. It's almost like that dock is a hinge, right? And we can open up the 64 or the 84 and the 63 and make it a flat obtuse triangle where we want to add them. We want to do 84 plus 63. What is that, 84 plus 63? Beautiful. So if we open up the hinge, open up that angle to make it super obtuse, because we don't know what direction Ben and Noah are going in, right? They could go in any direction. So if they go farthest apart, they're going opposite directions from each other. That's 147. If they go in the same direction, then we want to subtract because Noah's gone farther than Ben. 84 minus 63 is 21. And it could be anything in the middle because the distance between them is however far apart the tip of my middle finger is from my wrist, right? So if they go in the same direction, they're not going to be very far apart. But as they go in different directions, they could go really far apart if they go in opposite directions. So that's kind of the idea behind that. But the math, the algorithm, if you just want to memorize something, is subtract and add, and you want everything in the middle. Okay? Those are kind of hard to think through. I was thinking that chime meant that I had somebody in a waiting room, but I don't see that. How'd you approach number 5? What was the first thing you did? Awesome. And did that work out? It did. So that's 400 and 441 and then 841. And that works out. You don't even need the 17, right? This is Pythagorean theorem. We got to read the words up at the top. Pythagorean theorem means I square everything and add the legs up. So 20 squared plus 21 squared equals, 29 squared. Okay, nice. Number 6 is just flat out mean. Lots of people got so close to this and a couple people got it right. Super impressed. How do I start this crazy problem? This is definitely a hard problem. This is a 4-star problem. Nice. And then I solve that. I always subtract my small x first. So if I move my 1x to the left and get rid of it, I get 1x. Then I add the 26 to both sides and I got 42. So is 42 my answer? Is it? Why not? It's one of my answer choices. Oh, I'm not answering the question that's being asked. So it can't be A, and they will do this to you. This test is so mean. So how do I turn that X into angle P? Because angle P is this one. I love that idea. Before I do that, though, do I have to substitute this in and get angle Q? Sweet. So we've got to add the 42 and the 16. So I've got to do 42 plus 16. So then angle Q equals 58. Thank you for helping my tired brain. So then we do exactly what Victoria said. Angle Q is 58. We know that these two angles are congruent. So can we do 180 minus 58 and then whatever that is divided by 2?
Yes.
Yes, we can. So what do I get when I do that? 61. Awesome. I'm going to stop sharing because we are at the end of our